Welcome to Nerd Social. I am Nathan.
And I'm Colin.
So, tonight we're going to talk about What If episode, I think we're on 5 now?
5, I think, yes.
Yeah. And Titans episode 7. It's going to be more of an informal conversation than we usually have, but we will, as always, give our spoiler-free thoughts about the episodes, and then we'll get into more spoiler talk and also maybe some predictions for the future based upon what happened in the episode. Colin, what did you think of the 5th episode of What If? Simply titled What If Zombies?
Yeah, that basically summed it up for the most part. It was a really action-packed, gut-wrenching, like all the emotions, just like from highs to lows to depressing. Mm-hmm. It was almost like it was Infinity War all over again, and some parts of it was just so depressing and so sad. Mm-hmm. And I just think that they're just touching all of the emotional points throughout much better than it was last week in terms of, because the Doctor Strange episode would definitely just tore at the heartstrings. This was a lot of different types of emotions, and it was just a throw. I just think that I think that so basically my initial reaction is that it's definitely, I would say, in my opinion, better than the previous episode, and they're just raising the bar in terms of Marvel being just consistently good about all their material. And for this one, it was just a range of emotions. I just felt like there were times in which I felt I was in an Infinity War all over again, watching that again. Mm-hmm. And there were times where it was depressing, it was sad, it was triumphant, it was heroic. And it was just overall, I think they just got it down to a science for the most part in terms of just the brilliant storytelling, the animation, the action that's involved with it. And they did it within 30 minutes, which is really impressive stuff. And we haven't gotten on What If. I mean, some people think that they don't really like the animation too much, but yeah, it was there's definitely some iterations. I think we talked about it in a chat to some of the animations that we've seen with Invincible as mm-hmm. well. So it's very similar to that type of theme in some ways, but we'll get into it later on.
Yeah, I definitely liked the episode. I don't know if it's as bloody or as difficult to watch because it's still on Disney Plus. After there is, even though we're talking about zombies, after there is gore, there's gore in the way that they usually have gore in superhero properties. If people are dying, unless it's like the Guardian, the Suicide Squad movie that just came out recently. If people mm-hmm. are dying, they're usually not human, so it's not, you can still technically watch this with children, but some really graphic things happen to the zombies, so maybe older children, maybe middle school, high school children. It was a good episode. I think I liked it a lot. I don't know that it was that scary. Maybe that's because it is a Disney property and they're never going to get as scary as you would say on, I don't know, HBO Max or something like that. But it was still fun. So, and there are zombie movies in that vein. So there's like the Shaun of the Dead kind of movies.
So, what's the plan? Bash him in the head. That seems to work out.
Mm-hmm. And they're also like Zombieland and.
You guys want some Purell?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
This took some inspiration from Zombieland pretty much at the beginning of this episode as well. So it was more of a zombie comedy, which also sometimes has its scary parts as well, or its spooky parts as well. It definitely hit a whole lot of zombie tropes within mm-hmm. the episode. And yeah, it was very well written, and you got to see characters that have popped up in the MCU before, of course, because all the characters that show up in these episodes are characters that show up in the MCU before, but they're working together in a way that you never see. These are pairings or groupings that you didn't get to see in the mm-hmm. in the movies, which is interesting to see because you always wonder how would they work together, how would they interact to accomplish a common goal, and you got to see that in this What If scenario. So it was a really good episode. I don't know that I liked it as better than the last week. Just, I don't know, maybe it was just my sensibilities. The bleakness at the end.
That was something. I was just like, oh man, that's why I mentioned Infinity War. So I was like, That's very depressing. I'm like, oh man.
So yeah, I think that I definitely like the episode though, and I think that they're pushing the envelope and they're trying to be as creative and as interesting as they can be with these stories, because there's no consequences. They can kill off anyone they want to, because they can just start over in a different universe next week. So with different circumstances. So
that's very Rick and Morty.
Yeah. So it was a good episode. Well, folks, that's the end of the review. If you found it useful, please give us a like. And also, if you want more reviews like this, remember to subscribe. All right, we'll see you next time.